We're back to talk about NWSL news. This is the NWSL news and notes portion of the news and notes episode that we're doing. And Lisa, I'm glad that you're back so that we could chat a little bit about this, because this happened while you were away. When I'm talking about the NWSL Board of Governors meeting alongside NWSL Commissioner Jessica Berman, and some really cool things got kind of bullet pointed out of this meeting. And I was able to touch on it briefly a little bit with Lori Lindsay when she was on the show with us, because that it was all sort of breaking in real time. But I couldn't wait for you to come back and like have us be settled with CONCACAF to sort of revisit it, I think, in a different light, to kind of get your perspective of it. If people have missed the Board of Governors news, there's some really interesting bullet points that came out of the 2-day series of meetings in New York. I believe it was over the course of July 12th and 13th in New York City. We have highlighted some good stuff for you all at cbssports.com. I went ahead and took some of the most, I think, interesting kind of tidbits and kind of put them out there for you to take a look at. And Lisa, I wanted to get some of your reactions and hold some space here for you, because, you know, you're the other half of A3 here. And some of the cool stuff for me that stood out right away that I wanted to point out to folks was things like improvements to the broadcast, the talking about inclusion of a ton of cameras, investment on that side, the possibility of introducing VAR in 2023. Expansion has long been in the conversation, you know, of NWSL, and that was something that they talked about as well. So lots of cool things kind of coming out around this. I just wanted to give you the chance to sort of give your reactions to it as well. Was there anything in particular that you looked at and you said, I like this one a lot?
Well, thanks, Sandra. I love to give my thoughts and talk about anything and everything. But yeah, this meeting was, I think, really huge. We for the NWSL, they hired Jessica Berman as the new commissioner, as someone that wanted to come in and shake things up and change things around and make this league better. And I think that after this first meeting of the Board of Governors and this first announcement that came out of this, I think that the steps to improve the league are the steps that the league is taking to improve are in the right direction. And I think that's spearheaded by Jessica Berman. And frankly, I love some of these upgrades that they're coming up with. I mean, you mentioned VAR in the 2023 season. I think that's huge, not only for like close goals that happen, but injuries and player safety throughout this league. There's so many times we're like, well, we don't really know. There's no VAR on that. And especially as a broadcaster, sometimes it's really hard to make a judgment and talk about a play, a foul, anything that happens when you're only seeing one or two angles of it and you can't tell. You don't get conversations with the officials or anything like that. So that's huge. I love that they will be incorporating VAR. But in terms of upgrading all of the broadcasts, like that's fantastic. In order to make this league as professional as it should be and as great as the players are and the competition is, the broadcasts have to continue to get better, right? It's not just these steps, continuing to take more and more steps like that, including higher quality cameras, infrastructures, additional staff to work these things, because so much of it does come down to budgets, right? You can't expect to do something at a $60,000 budget if you only have $20,000. Like that's just not how it works. So reallocating some of those funds and prioritizing different ways to do things, I think is huge in adding broadcasters to the Twitch broadcast, because throughout this regular season so far, there's been one broadcaster for the international Twitch streams when the other games are on Paramount Plus. And just increasing them overall is good, right? For everyone involved, for the players, for the fans watching at home, for the broadcasters calling the games. It's a huge improvement. I am excited about it. I'm excited to kind of see what else keeps happening, what else keeps coming, what other tricks up Jessica Berman's sleeve she has for people that are invested in the NWSL like we are, right? Like this is huge for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I listening to like the press conference that took place shortly after the press release. So that's ultimately how this news kind of got rolled out. The league rolled out with a press release. It talked about some of those bullet points, and then Berman was available for a media call with that was open to various media who cover the NWSL, and hopping on that call, a lot of great stuff coming from our colleagues, and asking some good kind of questions, and areas of elaborating on some of these things, and there was obviously a lot of interest in this concept of adding cameras and improving the broadcast, and what that means and what that looks like. And I was eager to sort of hear your thoughts on it, because you're someone who has been on these calls. Lisa, I hear you. I know our listeners hear you on some of these calls, whether it's directly on Paramount Plus games or even Twitch games. So this is something that I knew would also sort of impact you, and like the work that you do outside of A3. So I was like, I gotta have Lisa talk about this a little bit and sort of hear her perspective on it. But I'm with you. I mean, I especially, I think, in terms of all of the things that came out of these meetings and from that press conference, if the ambition is to truly incorporate something VAR, or something like VAR, because I don't know if people are aware of this, but there are versions of VAR. There's like a VAR light, and there's things like goal line technology that's separate from VAR. If the ambition is truly, if the ambition is truly 2023, that would ultimately mean that requires more cameras automatically. I think if you are looking to have that ambition. So the fact that they are already going to be adding cameras in an effort to boost production of the broadcast, I think is very important. But I think that's also going to be testing the waters of what that could look like if they truly do, plan to incorporate VAR. So I'm hopeful, and I'm eager to sort of see how things go. I'm also really eager to sort of see how the broadcasts look moving forward, because they said that this was going to take place very soon. Coming as soon as August.
Yeah, immediately coming. And I want to make it known to people that are listening to this that no one is like losing their jobs. Like, the people are staying the same. The hardworking people that put in so much effort every single game behind the scenes in production, and directors and producers and talent, those people are not changing. They're adding additional resources for those people to do their jobs better. And that's huge. That's like mainly the behind the scenes of what's happening with this and these changes that are happening. The people that were currently doing their jobs are going to continue to do them, but they're going to be better supported, whether it's with additional staff members or a little bit more financing or better equipment or more guidance and more leadership in their roles that they're currently doing, which will lead to a better product. But it's going to be the same people calling the games, producing the games, directing, TDing them, camera operators, all of those on-site people as well are the same. They just now have more resources to do their jobs better, as anyone would in any of their individual professions across the world. Anyone listening to this, that's my last 2 cents about this.
A valuable 2 cents, as always. Listen, we got the time. It's a break right now, so we're taking the time to sort of chat and discuss and hang out. Really, this is a hangout. We're hanging out with each other. If you're listening to us, you're hanging out with us too.